The Wicked Stepmother. Chapter 1. A New Shadow. The Carter family's sprawling estate in suburban Chicago was a monument to their wealth, its ivy-covered walls and manicured lawns hiding the grief within. 6 months ago, Emily Carter, the beloved matriarch, succumbed to cancer, leaving her husband, David, and their 3 children, Ryan, Hannah, and Noah, in a haze of sorrow. Tonight, the dining room glowed under a crystal chandelier. But the warmth was gone. At the head of the table sat Vanessa Blake, David's new wife, her crimson dress clinging to her like a second skin. Her sharp blue eyes scanned the room, a predator sizing up her prey. Ryan Carter, 20, sat across from her, his jaw tight. His dark hair fell over his forehead, and his hazel eyes burned with distrust. As the eldest, he'd taken on the role of protector since their mother's death. But Vanessa's arrival 3 months ago had set his nerves on edge. She was too polished, too eager to fill Emily's place. Her perfume, heavy with jasmine, choked the air, a constant reminder of her intrusion. Hannah, 17, picked at her food, her blonde curls framing a face still puffy from crying. She missed her mother's gentle voice, not this stranger's syrupy tone. Noah, 14, slouched beside her, his freckled face buried in his phone. Oblivious to the tension, David, 45, sat at the other end, his once vibrant features dulled by grief. He forced a smile, trying to bridge the gap. Vanessa made this roast herself, he said, gesturing to the untouched platter. Let's give her a chance. Kids. Vanessa's lips curled into a smile, but it didn't reach her eyes. I know it's hard, stepping into your mom's shoes, she said, her voice dripping with false warmth. But I'm here for all of you. We're a family now. Ryan's fork clattered against his plate. You're not my mom, he said, his voice low but sharp. And we're not your family. The room froze. Hannah's eyes widened, and Noah looked up, startled. David's face flushed. Ryan, that's enough, he snapped. Vanessa's trying. You need to respect her. Respect? Ryan leaned forward, his voice rising. She's been here 3 months. Dad, 3 months. And you're already calling her family. What about Mom? Vanessa placed a manicured hand on David's arm, her expression wounded. David, it's okay. Ryan's grieving. I understand. But her eyes flicked to Ryan, cold and calculating, a warning hidden in their depths. Hannah spoke up, her voice trembling. Ryan's right. It's too soon. Mom's pictures are still on the walls. And you're changing everything. She gestured to the new curtains, the gaudy gold vases, Vanessa's touches that erased Emily's memory. David rubbed his temples, exhausted. We're all hurting, but fighting won't bring her back. Vanessa's my wife now. You'll learn to get along. Noah, sensing the tension, piped up. I like the vases. They're shiny. Vanessa beamed at him, ruffling his hair. See, Noah gets it. We'll be fine, won't we? Sweetie, Ryan's stomach churned. Noah was too young, too naive to see through her act. He'd noticed Vanessa's tactics, showering Noah with gifts, praising his every move, while subtly undermining Hannah and ignoring him. She was worming her way in, and David was too blind to notice. After dinner, Ryan followed Vanessa to the kitchen, where she was rinsing dishes with exaggerated care. What's your game? he asked, his voice low. You think you can just slide in here, take Mom's place, and what take over? Vanessa turned, her smile venomous. Oh, Ryan, you're so dramatic. I'm here because I love your father. But if you want to play the hero, go ahead. Just don't cry when you lose. Her words hit like a slap. Ryan's fists clenched, but he held back. I'm watching you, he said. One wrong move, and you're gone. Upstairs, Hannah knocked on Ryan's door, her eyes red. She's awful. Ryan, Jody, did you see how she looked at me? Like I'm nothing. Ryan pulled her into a hug, his resolve hardening. We'll figure her out, Hannah, I promise. Later, alone in his room, Ryan opened his mother's old jewelry box, a keepsake he'd saved. Inside was a photo of the family Emily laughing, David's arm around her, the kids grinning. Tucked beside it was a note in Emily's handwriting. Protect them. Ryan, he clutched the note, his heart heavy. Vanessa wasn't just a stepmother. She was a threat. As he lay in bed, the house creaked, and a faint light glowed under his door. He crept to the hallway, peering downstairs. Vanessa stood in the study, rifling through David's desk, her face illuminated by a phone screen. She muttered something, then slipped a document into her purse. Ryan's blood ran cold. This was no grieving widow. This was a woman with a plan. The wicked stepmother. Chapter 2. The Manipulator's Game. The morning sun filtered through the tall windows of the Carter family's Chicago estate. But the warmth did little to ease the chill in Ryan Carter's chest. Last night's discovery, Vanessa Blake, sneaking through his father's study, clutching a mysterious document, had kept him awake, his mind racing with questions. Who was she really? And what was she after? The grand kitchen, once filled with his mother's laughter, now felt like a stage for Vanessa's performance. She stood at the counter, her crimson nails gleaming as she slid a sleek, brand-new iPhone toward Noah. For you, sweetie, Vanessa said, her voice dripping with honey. A growing boy deserves the best, don't you think? Noah, 14 and wide-eyed, grabbed the phone, his freckled face splitting into a grin. No way. Vanessa, this is awesome. Thank you. He tapped the screen, oblivious to the tension brewing around him. Hannah, 17, sat nearby, her blonde curls falling over her cereal bowl. Her cracked, outdated phone lay on the counter, a silent testament to Vanessa's favoritism. Her blue eyes narrowed, and her spoon froze mid-air. Seriously, she muttered, barely audible. Noah gets a new phone, and I'm stuck with this junk. Ryan, leaning against the island, felt his jaw tighten. At 20, he'd become the family's anchor since their mother's death. But Vanessa's arrival had turned their home into a minefield. Noah doesn't need a new phone, he said, his voice sharp, cutting through the air. His old one works fine. What's this about? Vanessa. Vanessa's smile didn't waver, but her blue eyes flicked to Ryan, cold and predatory. Oh, Ryan, don't be so serious, she said, her tone mockingly sweet. I'm just treating him. You should try it sometime. It makes life sweeter. The challenge in her words hung heavy, a dare to push her further. David Carter shuffled into the kitchen, his graying hair disheveled, his face etched with exhaustion. At 45, he seemed a shadow of the vibrant man Ryan remembered. He glanced at the scene, frowning. What's going on? he asked, pouring coffee. Nothing. Darling, Vanessa said, gliding to his side, her hand resting possessively on his arm. Just a little gift for Noah. Ryan's just concerned. That's all. Concerned, Ryan snapped, stepping forward. She's buying him off. Dad, can't you see it? She's playing some kind of game. And Noah's too young to notice. Noah's head shot up, his grin fading. What's your problem? Ryan, Vanessa's nice. You're just mad because he stopped, glancing at Vanessa, who gave him an encouraging nod. David sighed, rubbing his temples. Ryan, enough. Vanessa's trying to fit in. You're making this harder than it needs to be. Hannah slammed her spoon down, her voice trembling. It's not just Ryan. Dad, she's changing everything. Mom's stuff is gone, and now she's buying Noah's loyalty. It's not fair. Vanessa's hand flew to her chest, her expression wounded. Hannah, sweetheart, I'd never replace your mom. I'm just trying to help. But her eyes darted to Ryan, a glint of triumph in them, as if she'd scored a point. Ryan's blood boiled. He wanted to grab that phone and smash it, to wipe the smirk off Vanessa's face, but he held back, knowing she'd twist it against him. I'm watching you, he said, his voice low. Whatever you're planning, it won't work. Vanessa tilted her head, her smile venomous. Careful, Ryan. Heroes don't always win. Later that day, Ryan trailed Vanessa from a distance, his beat-up sedan blending into the Chicago traffic. She'd left the house in a hurry, claiming a charity meeting, but Ryan wasn't buying it. He followed her to a downtown cafe, where she met a man in a slick suit, 40-ish, with a shark-like grin. They hunched over papers, Vanessa's face intense, her gestures sharp. Ryan snapped photos from across the street, his pulse racing. A lawyer, a business partner, whoever he was. They were plotting something back home. Hannah cornered Ryan in his room, her face pale. I heard Vanessa on the phone, she whispered. She was talking about a plan and said, David won't suspect a thing. What's she doing? Ryan's stomach twisted. I don't know yet, but I saw her with some guy today. They had documents, looked serious. He hesitated, then added, we need to search her room. If she's hiding something, we'll find it. That night, while Vanessa and David were at a dinner, Ryan and Hannah crept into Vanessa's bedroom. The space reeked of her jasmine perfume, the decor gaudy with gold accents. Nothing like their mother's understated elegance. Hannah rifled through the dresser while Ryan tackled the desk. His fingers brushed a hidden envelope tucked beneath a stack of magazines. Inside was a contract, dense with legal jargon, but one phrase stood out. Transfer of Carter estate assets to Vanessa Blake upon David Carter's incapacitation. Ryan's heart pounded. Hannah, look at this, he hissed, holding up the paper. She's planning to take everything if something happens to Dad. Hannah's eyes widened, her voice shaking. What do we do? If we show Dad, Vanessa will just lie her way out of it. Before Ryan could answer, the front door slammed downstairs. Vanessa's voice echoed, sharp and angry. David, I told you, it's just business. Ryan and Hannah froze, shoving the contract back and slipping out just as Vanessa's heels clicked up the stairs. The next morning, Ryan waited until Vanessa was alone in the kitchen, chopping vegetables with a knife that gleamed too brightly. I know what you're doing, he said, his voice steady despite the fear in his gut. "That contract? I saw it. You're after Dad's money?" Vanessa didn't flinch. She set the knife down, her smile icy. "You're a clever boy, Ryan, but you're out of your depth. Keep digging, and you'll lose more than you think. Your father listens to me now, not you." She leaned closer, her voice a whisper. "Cross me, and I'll make sure he cuts you off for good." Ryan's fists clenched, but her words hit hard. David was slipping away, blinded by Vanessa's charm. As she turned back to her chopping, humming softly, Ryan felt a surge of resolve. Vanessa was a predator, and he'd expose her no matter the cost. But as he walked away, her laughter echoed behind him, a reminder that this game was far from over. The Wicked Stepmother. Chapter 3. Cracks in the Family. The Carter estate in suburban Chicago buzzed with artificial cheer, its grand ballroom transformed for Noah's 15th birthday. Vanessa Blake had spared no expense, twinkling fairy lights, a towering cake, and a DJ spinning pop hits filled the space. Neighbors and Noah's school friends milled about, their laughter clashing with the heavy grief still lingering from Emily Carter's death. Ryan Carter, 20, stood in the corner, his arms crossed, watching Vanessa play the doting stepmother. She wore a sapphire dress that shimmered under the lights, her smile as calculated as ever, handing Noah a stack of gift-wrapped boxes. "Look at this one, Noah," Vanessa chirped, passing him a sleek drone. "Only the best for my favorite guy." Noah's freckled face lit up, his grin wide as he tore into the wrapping. The crowd cooed, but Ryan's stomach churned. Vanessa's gifts were a performance, each one a jab at the family's fragile unity. Hannah, 17, hovered near the dessert table, her blonde curls wilting in the humid air. Her simple jeans and sweater stood out painfully against the party's glitz. Vanessa hadn't even acknowledged her presence, let alone invited her to join the celebration. Hannah's blue eyes glistened with unshed tears as she watched Noah bask in the attention. Ryan caught her gaze and nodded, a silent promise. "We'll get through this." David Carter mingled with guests, his forced smile betraying his exhaustion. At 45, he seemed older than his years, weighed down by loss and the strain of his new marriage. Vanessa glided to his side, looping her arm through his. "Isn't this wonderful, David?" "Noah's so happy," she said loudly, ensuring everyone heard her. Ryan edged closer to the gift table, noticing a small, locked box tucked beneath the pile. It bore the logo of their family's safe, where David kept important documents and Emily's jewelry. His pulse quickened. Had Vanessa gotten into it? He'd checked the safe last week, and the combination was unchanged. But now, suspicion gnawed at him. As the party wound down, Noah ran to Hannah, waving his new drone. "Hannah, check this out. Vanessa's the coolest." His enthusiasm was a knife to her heart. She forced a smile, but her voice cracked. "Yeah, super cool. Did she even remember I exist?" Noah frowned, confused. "What's that supposed to mean?" "You're just jealous because she likes me better." Hannah's face flushed. "Jealous? She's erasing Mom." "Noah, she doesn't care about us. She's just buying you off." Her shout drew stares, and Vanessa's head snapped toward them, her smile tightening. "Kids, enough. David called, striding over, "This is Noah's day. Don't ruin it. Ruin it." Hannah snapped, tears spilling. "She's the one ruining everything. She didn't even invite me to this stupid party." She stormed off, leaving Noah stunned and David rubbing his temples. Ryan followed Hannah to the garden, where she sat on a bench, sobbing. "She's tearing us apart." "Ryan," she whispered, "Noah's on her side now, and Dad doesn't see it." "We'll fix this," Ryan said, his voice firm. "I think she's after more than just Noah's loyalty. I saw a box from the safe. I need to check if she's messed with it." That night, while Vanessa was distracted with guests, Ryan slipped into David's study. The safe was hidden behind a painting, its digital keypad glowing faintly. He entered the old code, Emily's birthday, but it beeped in error. His heart sank. Vanessa had changed it. Whatever she was hiding, she'd locked it away. Desperate for answers, Ryan called Sarah, his mother's best friend, who lived an hour away. Sarah's voice was warm but cautious over the phone. "Ryan, what's wrong? You sound shaken." "It's Vanessa," he said, pacing. "She's up to something, changing safe codes, sneaking around." "Did Mom ever mention her?" Sarah hesitated, then sighed. "Vanessa Blake? I haven't heard that name in years. She dated your dad in college, before he met Emily. They were serious, but his family didn't approve, said she was trouble. They forced him to break it off. I thought she'd moved on." Ryan's blood ran cold. "She's back, Sarah, and I think she's here for revenge." The next morning, Ryan confronted David in the garage, where his father was tinkering with an old car, a rare moment of normalcy. "Dad, we need to talk about Vanessa," Ryan said, holding up his phone with a photo of the safe's keypad. "She changed the combination. Why? What's she hiding?" David's wrench clattered to the floor, his face hardening. "Ryan, you're paranoid. Vanessa's my wife, not some criminal. She probably updated it for security. Stop this nonsense. Nonsense." Ryan's voice rose. "She's manipulating Noah, ignoring Hannah, and now she's locking us out of Mom's things. Open your eyes." "Dad?" David stepped closer, his eyes flashing. "You're out of line. Ryan, keep this up, and you'll regret it." He stormed out, leaving Ryan seething. Back in the house, Hannah crept into the living room, where Vanessa was arranging flowers. As Vanessa reached for a vase, a glint caught Hannah's eye, a sapphire necklace, Emily's favorite, slipped from Vanessa's purse. Hannah's heart stopped. "That's Mom's?" she gasped, lunging forward. "You stole it." Vanessa spun around, her face a mask of fury. "Don't be ridiculous. Hannah, this is mine." But her grip tightened on the necklace, betraying her lie. "You're a thief," Hannah shouted, tears streaming. "I'm telling Dad." She ran to Ryan, her voice breaking. "She took Mom's necklace. Ryan, she's stealing everything." Ryan pulled her close, his resolve hardening. Vanessa wasn't just a gold digger, she was a vulture, picking at their mother's memory. "We're done playing nice," he said. "She's going down, the wicked stepmother." Chapter 4. The Stolen Past. The Carter estate, nestled in suburban Chicago, was eerily quiet under a moonless sky. Inside, Ryan Carter and his sister Hannah crept down the hallway, their footsteps muffled by the plush carpet. The air was thick with Vanessa Blake's jasmine perfume. a constant reminder of her invasion into their lives. Ryan, 20, led the way, his hazel eyes sharp with determination. Hannah, 17, followed close behind, her blonde curls tucked under a hoodie, her hands trembling with nerves. They'd waited until Vanessa and their father, David, were out at a late dinner to search her room for answers. The sapphire necklace stolen from their mother's collection had been the final straw. Ryan pushed open Vanessa's bedroom door, wincing as it creaked. The room was a shrine to her gaudy taste. Gold-trimmed mirrors, silk drapes, and a vanity cluttered with expensive cosmetics. "Start with the dresser," Ryan whispered, heading for the desk. "Look for anything letters, documents, anything that shows what she's planning." Hannah nodded, her heart pounding. "I can't believe she took Mom's necklace," she muttered, rifling through drawers. "What kind of person does that? The kind who's after everything we have," Ryan said, his voice grim. He scanned the desk, pushing aside perfume bottles and a stack of fashion magazines. His fingers brushed a leather-bound notebook tucked beneath a scarf. He opened it, his breath catching. It was Vanessa's journal, filled with her sharp, slanted handwriting. He flipped to a recent entry dated a week ago. "The Carters think they're untouchable, but I'll take it all, David's money, his name, his life. They owe me for what they did." Ryan's blood ran cold. "Hannah, look at this," he hissed, holding up the journal. "She hates us. This isn't just about money. It's personal." Hannah leaned over, her eyes widening as she read. Another entry caught her attention. "David was mine first, until his family tore us apart. They'll pay for it," she gasped. What does she mean? Mine first. Did she know Dad before? Before Ryan could answer, the bedroom door swung open. Vanessa stood there, her sapphire dress shimmering in the dim light, her blue eyes blazing with fury. "What do you think you're doing?" she snapped, her voice like a whip. Hannah yelped. Dropping a scarf she'd been searching, Ryan shoved the journal behind his back. But Vanessa's gaze locked onto him. "Snooping! Ryan, that's low. Even for you," she said, stepping closer. Her smile was venomous, a predator cornering her prey. "We know you stole Mom's necklace," Hannah blurted, her voice shaking but defiant. "And we found your journal. You're planning something, and we're going to tell Dad." Vanessa laughed, a cold, cutting sound. "Go ahead, Hannah. Tell David his kids are sneaking into my room, reading my private thoughts. Who do you think he'll believe, his wife or his ungrateful brats?" She snatched the journal from Ryan's hands, her nails grazing his skin. "Get out, both of you, before I make this worse." Ryan's fists clenched, but he knew she was right. David was under her spell, blind to her schemes. "This isn't over," he said, grabbing Hannah's arm and pulling her toward the door. Downstairs, Noah sat in the living room, playing with his new drone from Vanessa's birthday extravaganza. He looked up as Ryan and Hannah stormed in, his freckled face confused. "What's with you guys? You look like you saw a ghost." "Vanessa's the ghost," Hannah snapped. "She's a liar, Noah. She stole Mom's necklace, and she's writing awful things about us." Noah rolled his eyes. "You're just mad because she's nice to me." Vanessa's cool. "You guys are paranoid." His words stung. A betrayal fueled by Vanessa's manipulation. Ryan knelt beside him, his voice urgent. "Noah, She's using you. She's not your friend. She's after Dad's money. You have to trust us." Noah pushed him away. "Standing up. Trust you. You're always picking fights. Maybe Vanessa's right. You're just jealous because Dad loves her now." He grabbed his drone and stomped off, leaving Ryan and Hannah in stunned silence. Desperate for clarity, Ryan called Sarah, their mother's best friend. From his room, "Sarah, we found Vanessa's journal," he said. "Pacing, she wrote about Dad, said he was hers first. What happened between them?" Sarah's voice was heavy with regret. "Vanessa and David were college sweethearts. Ryan, they were in love. But your grandparents didn't approve. They thought she was beneath the Carter name too wild. Us, too poor. They pressured David to end it. And he did. Vanessa was devastated. I never thought she'd come back." Ryan's mind raced. Vanessa's hatred wasn't just greed. It was revenge. She's not just back, Sarah. She's destroying us. The next day, Ryan checked David's online bank account, using a password his father had shared years ago. His heart stopped. A transfer of $50 had been made to an account in Vanessa's name, dated 2 days ago. The memo read, "Consulting fees," but Ryan knew better. She was siphoning their inheritance. Piece by piece, he confronted Hannah in her room, showing her the bank statement. "She's stealing from Dad. Hannah, this is proof she's a gold digger." Hannah's face paled, her hands shaking. "What do we do? If we tell Dad, Vanessa will twist it. She always does." Ryan clenched his jaw, his resolve hardening. "We keep digging. She's not just a thief. She's a liar with a grudge. We'll expose her, no matter what it takes." But as he spoke, Vanessa's journal entry echoed in his mind. "They'll pay for it," said he. Vanessa was no ordinary enemy. She was a woman scorned, and she was playing for keeps. The wicked stepmother. Chapter 5. United against her. The Chicago wind howled outside the Carter estate, rattling the windows as if warning of the storm brewing within. Ryan Carter, 20, sat in his bedroom, his laptop glowing with a grainy audio file. He and Hannah had spent days planning this, hiding a recorder in the living room where Vanessa Blake often took calls. Last night, they'd hit gold. Vanessa's voice, sharp and conspiratorial, discussing asset transfers with a lawyer. David's too distracted to notice. She'd said, laughing, "By the time he does, it'll be mine." Ryan's blood boiled, but he knew they needed more than words to convince their father. Hannah, 17, paced beside him, her blonde curls tangled from nervous fidgeting. "This is it. Ryan," she whispered, her blue eyes wide. "If we show Dad this recording, he'll have to believe us. Vanessa's a thief." Ryan nodded, but doubt gnawed at him. David, their father, was under Vanessa's spell, his grief for their late mother, Emily, blinding him to her schemes. We have to be smart," he said. "She's slippery. If we play this wrong, she'll twist it against us." Downstairs, Vanessa was in the kitchen, humming as she arranged a tray of pastries. Her crimson nails glinted under the lights, a stark contrast to her angelic smile. Noah, 14, sat at the counter, engrossed in his new phone, Vanessa's latest bribe. "You're spoiling me," he said, grinning. Oblivious to the tension, Hannah joined them. forcing a smile to avoid suspicion. But her heart raced as she slipped the recorder back into her pocket, its weight a reminder of their mission. She glanced at Noah, wishing he'd see through Vanessa's act. His loyalty to their stepmother was a wedge driving the siblings apart. That afternoon, Ryan and Hannah planned to confront David when he returned from work. But Noah overheard them in the hallway, his freckled face scrunching in confusion. "What's this about a recording?" he asked, clutching his drone. "Are you guys spying on Vanessa?" Ryan cursed under his breath. "Noah, it's not spying, it's protecting Dad. Vanessa's stealing from him. We have proof." Noah's eyes narrowed. "You're always picking on her. She's nice to me. Maybe you're just jealous because Dad's happy." Before Ryan could stop him, Noah bolted downstairs, straight to Vanessa. "In the kitchen," Noah blurted. "Ryan and Hannah are recording you. They say you're stealing." Vanessa's smile froze, her eyes flicking to the living room. Without a word, she strode to the coffee table, snatched the hidden recorder, and smashed it under her heel. The crack echoed like a gunshot. "Oops," she said, her voice dripping with mockery. "Clumsy me." Hannah, watching from the stairs, gasped, her hands flying to her mouth. Ryan rushed down, his face red with fury. "You knew it was there," he spat. "You're covering your tracks." Vanessa tilted her head, her smile venomous. "Prove it." Ryan. "Oh, wait. You can't. No recording. No proof." She turned to Noah, ruffling his hair. "Thank you, sweetie. You're such a good boy." When David came home, Vanessa was ready, her eyes brimming with crocodile tears. "David, your kids are harassing me," she sobbed. Clinging to his arm, "They hid a recorder to spy on me. I'm trying so hard, but they hate me." David's face darkened, his exhaustion turning to anger. "Ryan, Hannah, in my study." Now, in the dimly lit room, he slammed his briefcase down. "What's wrong with you two? Spying? This is unacceptable." Ryan's fists clenched. "Dad, she's lying. She's stealing from you. We heard her talking about moving your money." "Enough," David roared. "Vanessa's my wife, not some criminal. You're obsessed. Ryan, stay away from her, or you're out of this house." He stormed out, leaving Ryan and Hannah stunned. Back in her room, Hannah sank onto her bed, tears streaming. "He didn't even listen," she whispered. "What do we do now?" Rummaging through her desk for a tissue, she found a yellowed envelope tucked in an old book, a letter from Vanessa to David, dated 20 years ago. Her hands shook as she read. "You let your family destroy us. David. Okwa, I'll never forgive you for choosing them over me." Hannah ran to Ryan, thrusting the letter at him. "Look at this. Vanessa didn't just know Dad. She hated him. She's here to get even." Ryan's jaw tightened as he read. The letter confirmed Sarah's story. Vanessa and David had been in love, torn apart by his family's disapproval. Her return wasn't about love, it was vengeance. "We need more on her past," he said, dialing Sarah. "Sarah, that college breakup, did Vanessa ever threaten Dad afterward?" Sarah's voice was grim. She was furious. "Ryan," she showed up at his parents' house, screaming about being discarded. "They paid her to leave town. I thought she was gone for good." Ryan hung up, his mind racing. Vanessa wasn't just a gold digger. She was a woman scorned, playing a long game. But their plan was unraveling. As Hannah stepped into the hallway, Vanessa appeared, her silhouette menacing. "You're a naughty girl." "Hannah," she said, her voice low. Before Hannah could react, Vanessa shoved her into her room and locked the door from the outside. "Stay there until you learn some manners." Hannah pounded on the door, screaming, but the house was silent. Ryan, in his room, heard her cries and raced to her door, rattling the handle. "Hannah, hold on!" He grabbed a screwdriver, prying at the lock, his heart pounding. When he finally freed her, Hannah collapsed into his arms, sobbing. "She's evil. Ryan, she's going to ruin us." Ryan's eyes blazed with fury. Vanessa had crossed a line, locking his sister like a prisoner. "She's done," he said, his voice cold. "I don't care what it takes. I'm ending her." But as he comforted Hannah, a chill ran through him. Vanessa wasn't just dangerous, she was unstoppable. And they were running out of time. The Wicked Stepmother. Chapter 6. The Mask Slips. The Carter estate in suburban Chicago glowed under strings of golden lights, transformed into a glittering stage for Vanessa Blake's charity gala. Guests in tuxedos and gowns sipped champagne, their laughter echoing through the grand ballroom. Vanessa, 38, glided among them in a sleek emerald gown, her blue eyes sparkling with practiced charm. She played the perfect hostess, raising funds for a local orphanage while subtly reinforcing her image as David Carter's devoted wife. But Ryan Carter, 20, watched from the shadows, his hazel eyes burning with resolve. Tonight, he'd expose her for the fraud she was. Ryan adjusted the earpiece hidden beneath his dark hair, connected to a backup recorder he'd planted in Vanessa's study after she'd smashed their first device. He'd been smarter, saving a copy of her damning conversation with her lawyer. The audio was clear. Vanessa plotting to siphon David's wealth, her voice dripping with greed. "He's too broken to notice," she'd said. "By next year, it's all mine." Ryan's fingers tightened around his phone, ready to broadcast the truth. Hannah, 17, stood nearby, her simple black dress a stark contrast to the gala's opulence. Her blonde curls were pinned up, but her blue eyes were red from crying. Vanessa's stunt, locking her in her room, had left her shaken, but she refused to back down. "You sure about this?" "Ryan," she whispered, glancing at the crowd. "If Dad doesn't believe us, we're done. He'll have to listen when everyone else hears it," Ryan said, his voice steady. "She can't charm her way out of this." David Carter, 45, mingled with business associates, his forced smile masking his exhaustion. Vanessa clung to his arm, her laughter ringing out as she charmed a wealthy donor. Noah, 14, hovered near the dessert table, his freckled face uneasy. Vanessa's gifts, phones, drones had won him over. But her cold dismissal of Hannah at the gala was starting to crack his trust. As Vanessa took the stage to deliver her speech, Ryan slipped to the sound booth, where a friend from school controlled the audio. "Play it after her speech," he instructed, handing over his phone. The friend nodded, eyes wide with anticipation. Vanessa's voice boomed through the speakers, saccharine and sincere. "Thank you all for supporting this cause," she said, clutching a glass of champagne. "As David's wife, I'm honored to give back to our community to build a brighter future for these children." The crowd applauded, but Ryan's stomach churned at her hypocrisy. The moment her speech ended, Ryan's friend hit play. Vanessa's voice filled the room. Cold and calculating, David's too distracted to notice. We'll transfer the assets slowly, and by next year, it's all mine. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Faces turned, whispers spreading like wildfire. Vanessa froze on stage, her champagne glass trembling, her smile collapsing. "What is this?" David demanded, pushing through the crowd, his face pale. "Vanessa, what's going on?" Vanessa's eyes darted to Ryan, blazing with fury. She recovered quickly, her voice quivering with fake tears. "David, this is a cruel prank. Your son's trying to ruin me." She clutched her chest, swaying dramatically. "I've done nothing but love this family, and this is how I'm repaid." The crowd murmured, some nodding sympathetically. Ryan stepped forward, his voice cutting through the chaos. "It's not a prank, Dad. That's her voice, talking about stealing your money. She's been lying to you." David's eyes flicked between Ryan and Vanessa. Torn. "Ryan, you've gone too far," he said, his voice low but firm. "You're embarrassing us in front of everyone. You're grounded. No car, no phone, no family events until you apologize." Ryan's heart sank, his fists clenching. "You're blind. Dad, she's playing you." But David turned away, ushering Vanessa off the stage as guests whispered behind their hands. Hannah grabbed Ryan's arm, her face pale. "It didn't work," she whispered. "They believed her." "Not everyone," Ryan said, noticing a few skeptical glances among the crowd. "But the damage was done." David's trust in him was crumbling. Later, Noah lingered in the hallway, his drone forgotten. He'd seen Vanessa's face during the audio reveal, not just anger, but fear. At the gala's end, he'd overheard her on the phone, her voice low and venomous. "David can't know about our past. Not yet. If he finds out what we lost, it's over." Noah's stomach twisted. What past? Why was she hiding it? The next day, Ryan received an email from Sarah. Their mother's best friend. Attached was a scanned court document from 20 years ago. A lawsuit filed by David's parents against Vanessa for harassment after she'd refused to leave him. She stalked David for months. Sarah wrote, "His family paid her off to disappear. Be careful, Ryan, she's dangerous." Ryan showed the document to Hannah, his resolve hardening. "She's not just after money. She's settling a score. We need Noah on our side to stop her." That night, Noah knocked on Ryan's door, his face pale. "I heard Vanessa on the phone," he said, his voice barely a whisper. "She was talking about a secret with Dad. Something from a long time ago. I think you're right about her." Ryan pulled Noah into a hug, relief flooding him. "Welcome back, little brother. Now we fight together." But as Noah nodded, Ryan's mind raced. Vanessa's secret was the key, and they were closer than ever to unlocking it or falling into her trap. The Wicked Stepmother. Chapter 7. The truth emerges. The Carter estate in suburban Chicago stood like a fortress under a gray, overcast sky, its ivy-covered walls hiding the war within. Ryan Carter, 20, sat in the attic with his younger brother, Noah, their faces lit by the glow of a laptop. The rift between them had healed after Noah overheard Vanessa Blake's cryptic phone call, his loyalty to her crumbling. Now, at 14, Noah's freckled face was set with determination, his drone forgotten, as he helped Ryan dig through their father's financial records. They'd found a bombshell, a forged contract, buried in Vanessa's email, transferring half of David Carter's estate to her name upon his retirement. Ryan's hazel eyes scanned the document, his heart pounding. "This is it, Noah," he said, his voice low. "She's not just stealing, she's planning to take everything. We show this to Dad, and she's done." Noah nodded, but his voice trembled. "What if he doesn't believe us? He got so mad at the gala." The memory of their failed attempt to expose Vanessa's schemes, her voice plotting over the speakers, only for her to spin it as a prank, still stung. "We'll make him listen," Ryan said, saving the contract to a USB drive. "You're with us now. That changes everything." Downstairs, Hannah, 17, paced the living room, her blonde curls loose and tangled. The sapphire necklace Vanessa had stolen from their late mother, Emily, burned in her mind. She'd had enough of Vanessa's lies, her fake tears, her grip on their father. When Vanessa entered, carrying a tray of coffee, Hannah's resolve snapped. "Where's Mom's necklace?" she demanded, her blue eyes blazing. "I know you took it. Give it back." Vanessa, 38, set the tray down with a deliberate slowness, her emerald dress hugging her frame. Her blue eyes narrowed, but her smile was icy. "Hannah, dear, you're confused. That necklace is mine. Stop making a scene. You're a liar," Hannah shouted, stepping closer. "You stole it. Just like you're stealing Dad's money. I saw your journal. You hate us." Vanessa's smile vanished. She lunged forward, her hand cracking across Hannah's cheek with a sharp slap. Hannah stumbled, gasping, her hand flying to her stinging face. "Keep your mouth shut," Vanessa hissed, her voice low and venomous, "or I'll make sure David sends you to boarding school far away from here." Hannah's tears fell, but she stood her ground. "You're a monster," she whispered, running upstairs to find Ryan. In the attic, Hannah burst in, her cheek red and swollen. "She hit me," she choked out, collapsing into Ryan's arms. "I told her about the necklace, and she slapped me." Ryan's fists clenched, fury surging through him. "She's gone too far," he said, his voice trembling with rage. Noah's eyes widened, guilt flashing across his face for ever trusting Vanessa. "We're telling Dad now," Ryan said, grabbing the USB drive. "All of us, together." They found David in his study, hunched over paperwork, his graying hair disheveled. At 45, he looked worn. Caught between grief and Vanessa's manipulations, Ryan laid the contract on the desk, his voice steady. "Dad, Vanessa's forging documents to steal your estate. We have proof, her emails, her plans. She's been lying to you." David's eyes flicked to the contract, then to his children. For a moment, Ryan thought he saw doubt. But then Vanessa's voice cut through, soft and wounded. From the doorway, "David, they're at it again," she said, her eyes brimming with tears. "They're forging documents to frame me. I love you. Why would I hurt you?" David's face hardened, his gaze turning to Ryan. "You're obsessed. Ryan, this family's falling apart because of you. Drop this, or you're out of this house." Noah stepped forward, his voice shaking. "Dad, it's true. I heard her talking about a secret. Something about you and her from a long time ago." But David shook his head, his voice cold. "Enough. All of you, go to your rooms." He turned away, dismissing them as Vanessa's triumphant smile lingered in the shadows. Desperate, Ryan called Sarah, their mother's best friend, from his room. "Sarah, we're losing him," he said, his voice breaking. "Vanessa's got Dad wrapped around her finger, and she hit Hannah. What else do you know about her?" Sarah's voice was heavy with sorrow. "There's something I didn't tell you," she said. Vanessa was pregnant with David's child in college. His parents found out and forced her to end it. To protect the Carter name, she never forgave them or David. That's why she's back. Ryan's breath caught, the pieces falling into place. Vanessa's hatred wasn't just about money, it was personal. A vendetta against the family that destroyed her future. "She's not just a thief," he said. "She's out for blood." Late that night, Ryan slipped into David's study, searching for more evidence. Behind a locked drawer, he found a small, worn journal, David's, from his college years. His heart raced as he read an entry dated 22 years ago. "I love Vanessa, but my family says she'll ruin us. I let her go, and it broke us both. I'll never forgive myself for what we lost." Ryan closed the journal, his hands shaking. David's love for Vanessa had been real, and her pain was rooted in betrayal. But that didn't justify her cruelty. She was tearing their family apart, and Ryan would stop her, no matter the cost. As he slipped the journal into his pocket, Vanessa's laughter echoed from downstairs, a chilling reminder of her power. The Wicked Stepmother. Chapter 8. The Breaking Point. The Carter estate in suburban Chicago felt like a prison, its grand halls suffocating under the weight of secrets and lies. Ryan Carter, 20, stood in his father's study, his heart pounding as he laid out the evidence against Vanessa Blake. The forged contract, transferring David's estate, the damning audio of her plotting, and David's own college journal, its pages confessing his love for Vanessa and the pain of their forced breakup. Ryan's hazel eyes were steady, his voice firm. "Dad, she's not who you think," he said, pushing the documents across the desk. "Vanessa's stealing from you, and she's been lying about everything, her love, her intentions, all of it." David Carter, 45, sat behind the desk, his graying hair disheveled, his face etched with exhaustion. He stared at the papers, his hands trembling slightly. For a moment, Ryan thought he saw a flicker of doubt in his father's eyes. But then, Vanessa swept into the room, her emerald dress flowing like a dark tide, her blue eyes brimming with crocodile tears. "David, this is outrageous!" she cried, clutching his arm. "Ryan's forged these documents to frame me. Bo, he's been against me from the start, trying to tear us apart." Ryan's fists clenched, his voice rising. "Forged. I found your contract. Vanessa. And Dad's journal proves you knew him before you're here for revenge, not love." David's gaze darted between them, his jaw tightening. "Ryan, you've crossed a line," he said, his voice low and dangerous. "I've had enough of your accusations. You're out of this house, pack your things, and go." Now, Hannah, 17, gasped from the doorway, her blonde curls framing a tear-streaked face. "Dad, no, Ryan's telling the truth." Noah, 14, stood beside her, his freckled face pale, clutching a USB drive with backup evidence. But David's eyes were cold. his trust eroded by Vanessa's manipulations. "You heard your father," Vanessa said, her voice soft but triumphant. "Leave Ryan before you make this worse." Her smile was a knife, twisting in Ryan's chest. Ryan grabbed his jacket, his heart breaking. "Oh, you're making a mistake, Dad," he said, his voice cracking. "But I won't stop fighting for this family." He stormed out, the slam of the front door echoing through the estate. Hannah and Noah, left behind, devised a plan to keep Ryan in the fight. Late that night, Hannah crept into Vanessa's study, her hands shaking as she emailed Ryan copies of new bank statements she'd found more transfers to Vanessa's account, labeled consulting fees. Noah, guilt-ridden for his past loyalty to Vanessa, stood guard, his drone buzzing softly to mask any noise. "We're with you, Ryan," Hannah whispered into her phone, sending the files. "Don't give up." Ryan, crashing at a friend's apartment in downtown Chicago, opened the email, his resolve reigniting. The transfers totaled over $100. 0-0 now. Vanessa was moving fast. He needed more leverage, so he tracked down Mr. Thompson, Emily's old lawyer, at a quiet diner. Thompson, 60 and weathered, frowned as Ryan explained. "Vanessa Blake," he muttered, sipping coffee. "She came to Emily years ago, demanding money to stay quiet about her past with David. Said she'd ruin the family if Emily didn't pay. Emily refused, but Vanessa scared her. I warned Emily to go to the police, but she didn't want to hurt David." Ryan's stomach twisted. Vanessa hadn't just targeted David. She'd tormented his mother, too. "Why didn't Mom tell anyone?" he asked, his voice hoarse. "Emily loved David." Thompson said she thought protecting him meant keeping his secrets. "But Vanessa's dangerous. Kid, watch your back." Meanwhile, David began to unravel. Vanessa's charm was fading, her excuses thinner with each passing day. One evening, he followed her to a downtown hotel, suspicious of her late meetings. From the lobby, he overheard her with her lawyer, a slick man named Grayson. "The kids are a problem," Vanessa said, her voice cold. "We need to get them out of the way boarding school. Foster care? Whatever it takes. David's mine. And I'm not losing him again." David's heart stopped, his hands shaking as he retreated to his car. Vanessa's words echoed, "Get them out of the way." Had he been wrong about her? The journal, the contract, Ryan's warnings, they flooded back. A tide of doubt. He drove home, his mind racing, and found Vanessa in the living room, sipping wine, her smile as serene as ever. "Vanessa," he said, his voice unsteady. "We need to talk." "What were you discussing with Grayson?" "Something about the kids." Vanessa's smile didn't waver, but her eyes hardened. "Oh, David, you're overthinking," she said, gliding to his side. "I was just planning for their future, better schools, opportunities. I want what's best for us all." Her hand rested on his, but it felt like a claw. David pulled away, his voice firm. "No more lies. Tell me the truth, or we're done." Vanessa's face flickered with panic, but she recovered, her voice soft. "You're upset. Darling, let's talk tomorrow." She kissed his cheek, leaving him alone with his doubts. Back at his friend's apartment, Ryan stared at the bank statements, his mind racing. Vanessa was a predator, and David was finally waking up. But she was cornered now, and cornered animals were dangerous. Ryan knew the final battle was coming, and he'd need every ounce of strength to protect his family. The Wicked Stepmother. Chapter 9. The Final Confrontation. The Carter estate in suburban Chicago was a powder keg, its grand dining room lit by a flickering chandelier as the family gathered for a reckoning. Ryan Carter, 20, stood at the head of the table, his hazel eyes fierce with determination. Beside him, Hannah, 17, clutched a folder of evidence, her blonde curls framing a face set with resolve. Noah, 14, fidgeted nervously, his freckled cheeks pale, but his loyalty now firmly with his siblings. They'd spent weeks collecting proof of Vanessa Blake's schemes, forged contracts, incriminating recordings, David's journal, and her old letters seething with hatred. Tonight, they'd end her reign over their family. David Carter, 45, sat at the table's other end, his graying hair disheveled, his face a mix of exhaustion and unease. Vanessa, 38, perched beside him, her emerald dress clinging to her like armor. Her blue eyes darted between the siblings, her usual smile replaced by a tight, wary line. She sensed the trap, but her arrogance held firm. "What's this about?" she asked, her voice sugary but edged with steel. Another of Ryan's little tantrums. Ryan's voice was steady, cutting through the tension. "No tantrums, Vanessa. Just the truth." He opened the folder, spreading out the evidence. The contract, transferring David's estate, bank statements showing her theft, and a USB drive with her recorded voice plotting against the family. "You've been stealing from Dad, manipulating him, tearing us apart. It ends now." Hannah stepped forward, her voice trembling but strong. "You stole Mom's necklace, locked me in my room, and lied about everything. We found your letters. You've hated us since Dad left you in college." Noah, his voice small but clear, added, "I heard you. Vanessa, you said Dad can't know about your past. What are you hiding?" David's eyes widened, scanning the documents. "Ryan, what is this?" he asked, his voice hoarse. These can't be real." Vanessa laughed, a cold, desperate sound. "They're not. David, your kids are lying, forging papers to get rid of me. I love you. Why would I do this?" She reached for his hand, but he pulled away, his face darkening. Ryan played the recording, Vanessa's voice filling the room. David's too broken to notice. "We'll transfer the assets slowly, and it's all mine." The words echoed, undeniable. Guests from the charity gala had heard it, and now David couldn't ignore it. His hands shook as he picked up his journal, reading the entry Ryan had marked. "I let Vanessa go, and it broke us both." "You knew me before," David said, his voice barely a whisper. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Vanessa, what's this about a child?" Vanessa's face paled, her composure cracking. She stood, her heels clicking as she backed toward the door. "This is nonsense," she stammered. "You're all delusional." But Ryan blocked her path, his eyes blazing. "Tell him," Ryan demanded. "Tell him about the baby, your baby with Dad. The one his parents forced you to give up." The room fell silent, the air heavy with shock. David's head snapped up, his eyes wide. "Baby?" he choked out. "Vanessa! What's he talking about?" Vanessa's mask shattered, her voice rising to a snarl. "You want the truth. Fine, I was pregnant. David, with our child. Your parents called me trash, paid me to get rid of it, to disappear. You let them. You chose your precious family over me, and I've hated you ever since." Her eyes burned with venom. "I came back to take everything, your money, your home, your kids. You deserve nothing." David staggered back, his face ashen. You planned this. All of it. The marriage, the lies." Vanessa sneered, her voice dripping with spite. "Every second. And I almost won." She lunged for the door, but Noah, small but quick, grabbed her purse, spilling its contents, stolen jewelry, a burner phone, and a key to the safe. "Enough," David roared, his voice shaking the room. "Get out, Vanessa. You're done here." He turned to his children, his eyes glistening with tears. "Kids, I'm so sorry. I was blind. I should have listened." Hannah sobbed, running to hug him, while Noah clung to his side. Ryan stood firm, his voice cold. "She doesn't leave until the police get here. She's a thief, Dad, and she's not walking away." Vanessa's eyes widened. Panic setting in, she bolted for the back door. But Ryan had already called 911. Sirens wailed in the distance as she stumbled into the garden, her dress catching on thorns. The police arrived, cuffing her as she screamed curses, her elegance reduced to rage. Back inside, David sank into a chair, his face buried in his hands. "I failed you all," he whispered. "I let her in. Let her hurt you? How do I fix this?" Ryan knelt beside him, his voice soft but firm. "We fix it together. Dad, we're still a family." Hannah and Noah nodded, their tears mixing with tentative hope. As the police led Vanessa away, an officer handed Ryan an envelope found in her purse. It was addressed to David, sealed with a single word: regret. Ryan's stomach twisted. "What's this?" he asked, but David shook his head, too overwhelmed to answer. That night, alone in his room, Ryan stared at the envelope, its weight heavy in his hands. Vanessa was gone, but her final act, a secret yet to be revealed, loomed over them. The battle was won, but the war might not be over. The Wicked Stepmother. Chapter 10. A Family Reborn. The Carter estate in suburban Chicago glowed softly under the late spring sun, its ivy-covered walls no longer a fortress of secrets, but a home reclaiming its warmth. A week had passed since Vanessa Blake's dramatic expulsion, her schemes exposed, and her venomous reign ended. The dining room, once a battleground, was now adorned with flowers and framed photos of Emily Carter, the family's late matriarch. Ryan Carter, 20, stood by the window, his hazel eyes reflecting a mix of relief and vigilance. Tonight, the family would honor Emily's memory, a step toward healing the wounds Vanessa had inflicted. Hannah, 17, arranged candles on the table, her blonde curls catching the light. Her face, once shadowed by fear, held a tentative smile as she placed a photo of Emily, laughing with her children at the center. Noah, 14, helped his father. David set out chairs, his freckled cheeks flushed with purpose. At 45, David's graying hair and tired eyes spoke of regret, but his shoulders were straighter, his resolve renewed. "This is for your mom," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "She'd want us together, stronger than ever." Ryan nodded, his heart heavy but hopeful. She'd be proud of us. Dad, we fought for her for this family, but the envelope Vanessa left behind, marked with the word regret, weighed on his mind. Its contents were still a mystery, a lingering threat that kept him on edge. As the family gathered, neighbors and close friends joined, their presence a quiet support. Sarah, Emily's best friend, squeezed Ryan's arm, her eyes warm. "You kids saved this family," she whispered. "Emily's smiling down on you." David stood, clearing his throat to address the group. "Emily was our light," he began, his voice steadying. "We lost our way without her, and I let someone, Vanessa, exploit that pain. I failed my kids, but they never gave up. Tonight, we honor Emily by rebuilding what we almost lost." He raised a glass, and the room echoed with soft toasts, the air filled with love and forgiveness. Hannah spoke next, her voice soft but clear. "Mom taught us to stick together, no matter what. Vanessa tried to break us, but we're still here." Noah, usually shy, added, "I was dumb, trusting her, but I'm with you guys now, always." Ryan smiled, ruffling Noah's hair, their bond stronger than ever. After the speeches, David pulled Ryan aside, holding the unopened envelope. "I've been avoiding this," he admitted, his hands trembling. "Whatever's inside, we face it together." Ryan nodded, and they sat in the study, the family's sanctuary. As David tore it open, inside was a single page, Vanessa's handwriting sharp and deliberate. "You think you've won, David, but I know your secrets. The world will too, if I choose. Enjoy your victory for now." Tucked with the letter was a faded photo of a young David and Vanessa, her hand resting on her stomach, a bitter reminder of their lost child. Ryan's stomach twisted. "She's threatening to go public," he said, his voice low, "about the baby. Your family's pressure. Everything. It could ruin you." "Dad." David's face paled, but he shook his head. "Let her try. I won't hide anymore. I owe you kids the truth, and I'll face whatever comes." He gripped Ryan's shoulder, his eyes fierce. "We're done with secrets." Hannah and Noah joined them, sensing the tension. "What's in the letter?" Hannah asked, her voice trembling. Ryan hesitated, then showed them the photo. "Vanessa's not done," he said, "but neither are we. If she comes back, we'll be ready." The memorial ended with the family standing in the garden, placing Lily's, Emily's favorite, on a small plaque engraved with her name. Ryan knelt, his fingers brushing the stone. "I kept my promise. Mom," he whispered, "I protected them." He stood, joining Hannah and Noah in a tight hug, David wrapping his arms around all three. The Carters were scarred but unbroken, their love a shield against any storm. As guests departed, Ryan lingered by the front gate, scanning the quiet street. The estate felt safe again, but Vanessa's letter gnawed at him. She was out there, plotting, her hatred undimmed. David's past could still haunt them, a scandal waiting to erupt. Ryan vowed to stay vigilant, to keep his family whole. In the distance, a shadow moved, a figure in a dark coat, standing just beyond the streetlight's glow. Ryan's breath caught, his hand tightening on the gate. Was it Vanessa, watching, waiting? The figure turned, vanishing into the night, leaving only the rustle of leaves and an unshakable chill. The Carters had won this battle, but the war might not be over.